What up, military family?
What's going on, everybody?
It's the Tondero Twins. I'm Phil.
And I'm Alvin.
And welcome to Value in All Veterans, episode 4 of the show/podcast. Again, it's a little bit of a different look considering we got Alvin in the building of, my little man cave studio, so to speak, getting the set together, but it's pretty dope. It's our first sort of live in-person, episode.
Yeah, I wish we could kind of do this more. Maybe one day we'll get to that point. But it's kind of cool to figure out this whole setup. We were getting everything figured out where we wanted to angle everything. Had to get the mics and everything together.
Lighting, mics.
Yeah, it's kind of if you don't know about recording, there's a lot more that goes on than just getting the mic levels together. You gotta, get the lighting right and just everything positioned correctly. It took a little longer than I expected, but it's good to be here. Good to work with you on this, get this platform started for us. And yeah, man, it's just real happy to be doing this with you, man.
Yeah, man. Episode 4. We had a really good show last week, episode 3, talking about tools and resources available to veterans from the VA to find employment. So definitely check that out. Episodes 2 and 1 are already available on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram. Where can they find us?
Value in All Veterans. Well, that's the YouTube page. It'll be Value in All _vets on Instagram.
All right.
At this time, yeah.
So today we're going to be bringing awareness to the issue of PTSD, and again, our platforms to bring information to you referenced from va.gov when it comes to issues we're not subject matter experts at. Health and mental health, we're not physicians, and so we bring any information that we can to help veterans or their dependents, families that are going through that type of experience, referenced from va.gov. But again, we're not physicians, we're not doctors, we're not talking about treatment today. And then we'll also be speaking about depression when it comes to veterans getting out of the military, especially within the first year, and how it relates to military withdrawal, because that's a very real thing that I think and feel all veterans actually experience, don't you think?
Yeah, and in some facet, some degree, whether it's a lot or little, you're going to feel some kind of just, you almost feel lost. Like withdrawal is the perfect way to describe it. Just, you were part of something big and now you are no longer part of that. And it's just finding mechanisms to feel like you belong to something again. Just a lot of it goes into routine, but we'll get into that. So
absolutely. So popping it off with PTSD, for those that don't know, that's an acronym for post-traumatic stress disorder. And we did a little bit of research on resources and tools that at va.gov that they offer to veterans and their families, dependents, friends who experience that type of trauma. When it comes to veterans in context, we understand that when it comes to PTSD, it affects all human beings that go through traumatic experiences. But today we will be speaking specifically about veterans and the military experience in relation to PTSD. So getting into it, bro, what did you find on the website?
Post-traumatic stress disorder mainly is caused by a life-threatening event that was experienced. In a lot of those situations, most of the people feel helpless as it was happening. They had no control over the events that were unfolding in front of them. And once you're trying to recover from that after the event has passed, you'll develop symptoms such as, sadness, anxiety. You'll have flashbacks of the event. Certain things will trigger flashbacks, like news articles or even sounds. And, it just will affect your everyday life. You can't sleep well, so you can't perform well at work or at school. And it's a hard thing to get over. Most people, when they deal with a traumatic experience, and like I said, it differs from person to person, but they can get over that feeling of just sadness and anxiety, within a few months, or just a few weeks. But if it persists a little longer than that, that's when you can start to identify that this may become something more serious, like, post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's good to recognize those symptoms and the things that can, trigger them.
And what are some of those symptoms?
Like I said, just difficulty sleeping. Either if they were drinking, they're drinking more heavily, or they might not drink at all, and now they're drinking. Like I said, a lot of anxiety, sweating, mood swings, becoming very angry, even anniversaries of certain traumatic events that you might remember will bring upon, over preparedness, if that makes sense. Like, you may want to protect yourself and become overprotective of your loved ones with maybe on that specific day to make sure that event doesn't happen again. That was something I guess I didn't really know, but it kind of makes more sense the more I read into it.
I saw on the website too that I learned was actually media can trigger PTSD, meaning when it comes to news or anything political that could relate to a war or some sort of military experience that the veteran went through, that could trigger a post-traumatic stress episode, as well as, politics, news, any type of media. And, social media is very infused into everybody's lives now. So that makes veterans who do suffer from PTSD way more susceptible to having episodes. So that's another reason we want to bring this episode forward, so that we could talk about the tools and resources that are available for veterans who do suffer from PTSD, as well as the families, again, and spouses, friends of veterans who go through this, because it's important for them to have resources as well to cope with someone that they love that has PTSD. Combat veterans, even veterans who don't see combat, can still be susceptible to PTSD. And many of them definitely are susceptible to depression and actually go through it. But like Alvin said, PTSD essentially is something that actually activates and it can be labeled as PTSD when it's over a sustained amount of time having those episodes. That's when the label actually sticks and is official. Did you learn anything else on the site?
The only numbers that I saw, I didn't dive too deep into it. I believe I saw that it was 1 in 10 men and 2 in 10 women will experience a traumatic event in their lifetime. But there's no numbers to really break down who's going to develop PTSD from that. It really just depends on the person themselves and the event that happened and how it affects them. So there's no numbers to suggest who's going to develop it, but those are still pretty big numbers. It's good to get support, get help for that. If you have anybody that's experiencing those things, make sure you get them the support that they need. The best way to arm yourself against this is to become more educated on it, understand what the symptoms are and the resources you have if those symptoms persist. And now you'll be more prepared if it does ever happen. I don't wish that on anybody, but we can't control a lot of the things that happen in our lives, and if it happens to affect you, at least you'll be more educated with it. Or if you have a loved one or someone close to you that's going through it, you'll be more prepared to help them as well. So,
Man, yo, great points, bro.
Yes,
for real. Yeah. This is a great topic and an important one as well. When he was talking about tools, some things that I actually ran into on the website is centers and programs that help veterans with PTSD, whether they were in combat or not. One of the places is a PTSD treatment center. We can post the phone number and website to that in the description below, and maybe fit it in this video too as well. Another place is a Care for Women Veterans program. There's a center too, and that's dedicated only to women. because a lot of the data that we saw was that women also suffer from PTSD that's sexually related as well in the military in a higher percentage than men. That doesn't mean men don't suffer from PTSD from sexual trauma, because there's a percentage for that too. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to quote anything wrong. It is available on the site. But this Care for Women Veterans Program and Center is dedicated for support to women who do go through those experiences. You can also go to your veteran center. Your local or regional VA office can give you resources and information to get in touch with these veteran centers who have counselors that can counsel the veteran who has PTSD, having recurring episodes a little bit more frequently, and also with skills and coping mechanisms for loved ones who have a veteran in their life who is suffering from PTSD. Another resource that's on there is the PTSD Coach App, and
that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They're pushing it pretty hard on the website too. So I wanted to dive in there and look around, and it looks like the app is available on all app platforms like Google Play Store, the App Store for iOS devices, Androids, and it's free, so you don't have to pay for anything. And it seems like it's a really good resource because it gives reliable information about PTSD on the website. They have tools and screening for if you have symptoms or episodes that keep reoccurring. They actually have a tracker so that you can get more of a sense of trends when it comes to when your episodes are happening, what time of day, what were you doing, almost like a journal, but it's in your phone. And I think that's a really good resource as well.
Right. I think as you track those things, obviously you'll have a record of it. And if you do decide to go to seek help, now you have a perfect reference from the app that you can give to whatever therapy you may be seeking or anything like that. So.
They also have tools on the app to handle stress and anger, which is a big symptom of someone suffering from PTSD. And they have direct links to support and help through the app to other third-party resources, as well as va.gov. Hence, va.gov, they host the program, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
And then also, it's always with you. Everybody has their phone on them, so you always have a resource, a way to calm down, a way to have a source or some guidelines, some guidance on how to work yourself through an episode to calm down, or if you just need to speak to somebody, to have links that directly call therapists, mental health professionals that can get you the support that you need, whether you just had an episode, if you're currently going through one, or if you just need someone to talk to about what exactly is going on, especially through that first year of separating from the military. Again, like I said in the last episode, the data from va.gov explains that veterans, whether they're in combat or didn't see any combat, when they get out within the first 365 days post separation, they are the most susceptible to depression and suicide. So having these resources, whether they feel like they're starting to show symptoms for PTSD, depression, anywhere in that area of what they're feeling, those are things you need to pay attention to. And especially those of you who have veterans in your life, these are great tools to know about and information to read on so that you can equip yourself with the tools to help them and get them the support that they need, as well as yourself, because that's an experience too.
Exactly.
Someone you love goes to the military, comes back, whether they deployed to a combat zone or not, but they're different. They're not interested in things that they really used to be excited about or interested in. They just seem like a different person. That's a huge signal to you that you want to investigate. Doesn't mean anything's wrong, and it doesn't mean that they automatically have PTSD. But if you're a loved one and you care about this person, it's good to investigate a little bit and just make sure that it's not turning into something else. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The next thing that we wanted to talk about was depression, because I think that's something that touches veterans on a wider scale.
Right.
PTSD seems pretty specific. Doesn't mean that nobody is exempt from it, but depression seems to touch veterans at a larger scale, especially within the first 365 days post-separation. So to pop it off, I just wanted to give a definition of depression. So it states depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness or loss of interest. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. And that sounds pretty accurate on how it sums up what depression is. I feel like when reading the definition, I felt that before to some degree, especially when I got out. Did you ever feel anything like that in that definition when you separated at any point?
I wouldn't go as far as saying that I felt depressed, but I did feel those feelings that not necessarily that I didn't belong, but I left something that was bigger. I mean, if I had to be honest, I still don't quite feel like I'm part of something that was as big as, serving in the military. I can't speak to a lot of different things, but when you're part of something that big, a mission that big, something with as much history as it has, when you finally step away from it and you go into the workforce or any company, there might be a culture there, but it won't feel as like vast. It won't feel as important, I guess, because you're defending the country. It's an honorable thing you do, joining the military, and something you can really hold your head up high on. And now you're just part of some company, or you're starting your own thing. But either way, you're just not part of something that was so big, and now you have to find your way again. I guess I felt sad at times, but not to the degree where I said I was depressed. It just kind of hit me in waves every once in a while. They're like, man, I really left all that, Like, it was some good people in there. And, but sometimes as time goes on, I've been out almost 4 years, and you start to see the people that you served with either, moving up in rank in their life, or they're getting out as well. So you see other people going through that transition as well, and you see it, that journey will end for them, and they will have to go through the same things. Part of the reason we started this too was just we were a good resource for people to go to, because we had just recently got out, or eventually turned into we've been out for a while,
right?
And people wanted to know like what to look forward to. So that's kind of how I dealt with it. I can't say I was really depressed though.
I mean, I can agree with that. I think I felt something similar. Again, it was a little bit different for me because, me and you were really close.
Yes.
And when I got out, you were still in.
Yeah.
So I was describing what I was feeling to you like real time, because I didn't really know what was going on. Like we explained in the past episodes, if you guys can check that out, about our experiences when we first got out. You really do miss that camaraderie, that feeling of being on a team, just like he explained, being part of something bigger, the mission, which is always preached in the military across the board. And you had like a routine, your uniform. All of a sudden now you need to find clothes to wear. Like you forget, it's these little things like having a wardrobe now that is different. Of course you can always wear the same thing, but that's what the life was in the military. It's just your uniform, your cap, obviously your uniform's up to regs with the way you wear it. And that's it. It's automatic. But when you get out and now you have civilian clothes, you got to put on jeans, different types of shirts, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so with that, it's a different. And some people, that shift could be a little bit challenging at times. But when it comes to depression, I think that's a little bit heavy for me. I don't think I really was depressed at any point. I got really sad, but I wouldn't call it depression. Doesn't mean people don't feel depressed out there. We're not saying that. We're just explaining
that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, our
we
personal
talking
experience.
about it. Yeah, if it wasn't
exactly
an issue.
So, it was a range of emotions I was feeling. I mean, the job search, I didn't really have something lined up and I rolled right into something when I got out. So that was kind of hard to deal with too. I mean, I was literally getting paid, had a job, steady income, steady shelter. Of course, I moved in with my aunt like I explained before, but looking for a job again and not being able to find something that I really wanted, that weighs a lot on you. That could push people to feeling sadness. And when you're not getting what you need, like a job that you really want, you're not really interested in anything else. So then it starts to kind of spiral a little bit. You
Yeah.
kind of are like, hey, I got to shake things up, man. Like I can kind of feel myself not being attracted to certain things that I usually am and just not having energy, and people fall into those ruts. I kind of fell into that a little bit, but it's something that you really need to pay attention to. That's why we really preach here is self-awareness. Understand and take the time to know how you're feeling, to understand why you're feeling a certain way, and to also acknowledge that it's okay. Like, I'm allowed to feel things. There's this sense of when you feel out of place or you feel like you're not in control, that when you feel sad about it, like you feel guilty.
Right.
And that's not cool. That's not right either. We're human beings. We are allowed to feel things. We have emotions, and emotions have physiological responses, especially all the men out there. It's okay to cry. There's this whole macho mentality where men can't feel pain. That is a very self-destructing thought process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something we really want to preach here, that get the help that you need and also acknowledge the feelings that you are feeling when you're sad and frustrated. And if you need to get a good cry in, do that.
Let it out.
Yeah, you're human. Again, emotions have their chemical reactions in you that have physiological responses. If crying's one of them, you're not doing yourself any favors by holding back the tears, by trying to stomach the pain and the struggle that you're feeling and holding back this physiological response that should naturally occur,
Right.
Don't do that to yourself. The women too out there, have a good cry. That's okay. If you're struggling, if you're sad, you're mad, you're angry that things aren't working out, acknowledge those feelings and understand that it's okay. I'm allowed to feel these things. Give yourself permission. Nobody's allowed to tell you how to feel. At the end of the day, you have to give yourself permission to let things go and also allow yourself to feel things and go through those emotions in a natural way, because we're all human beings at the end of the day. You
Right.
feel me?
Exactly. I think feelings are a natural thing. When you get out, you won't know how you're going to feel until you get out. You could feel normal. Maybe that depression or those waves of, sadness and stuff may come later. But, when it comes, it's all about how you handle it. And if you feel emotional about it, you're allowed to express those things, whether it's just to yourself, like crying just crying by yourself, crying to loved ones. Just the number one thing is acknowledge those feelings are happening and let those feelings like have their way, so to speak. If you want to feel sad about something, sometimes you just want to feel sad. That's okay, but get yourself in a routine to get over it. Talk to people about it. That's probably the number one thing. And just don't hold anything in. It's only going to be counterproductive for you. And all those little things you're trying to adjust to with civilian life, those things are going to add up pretty quick, and you don't know how you're going to handle it. So it's better to have that routine going already, that you know how to handle your emotions, and more so express those emotions. Handling, I don't like to say handling all the time, because holding them in kind of seems to be what people think when you say handle your emotions.
Right.
When I mean handle them, I mean express them and convey them to people that you trust. And just, if whether it's, going to the gym or writing about it or anything that lets that negative energy out. Make sure you're taking care of that. Make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Facts. Pay attention to that. Seriously, this is great information. And we're not speaking about anything that all of you out there probably haven't felt at some point in time.
Right.
We're just saying that if you are feeling this way, especially vets, you're not alone.
Nope.
Nobody out here is perfect, and nobody out here has everything together, their emotions in order, and everything's just moving fine and dandy. Like, we all go through ups and downs, peaks and valleys. Just understand that we're all in this together, and we all need to understand each other, that we all are going through different seasons. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
even though you're having a good time, someone next to you might not. And that's another reason we want to push this platform to bring awareness to these real issues and experiences that veterans face, not only while they're in, but especially when they get out. There's just so much that we have to adjust to. And it's good that we have these conversations acknowledging these feelings that we feel, so that those of you out here or out there and us here
Right.
also know we're all in this together at the end of the day. That's the
Yep.
common denominator. We all the same. We're all going through different things, but we're all veterans, and we all have to adjust accordingly in our own way that works for us. So that pretty much sums up this episode, man.
Yeah.
PTSD, depression. Again, check out the PTSD Coach app on va.gov and look out for those symptoms that Alvin was explaining when it comes to a vet that might be suffering from PTSD, as well as if you think you have it, pay attention to those symptoms and seek the help that you need if you're feeling that type of way. What about you, bro?
Also, it's just if you're a vet, or if you're not a vet and you're still active or reservist, if you see somebody on the outside who's showing those symptoms, as well as if you see somebody who's still in, that's they could be going through those things right now as well. Like, try to be aware of those symptoms, and just reach out to your friends, reach out to those people that you need to, that you normally keep in contact with. Even though you're out, it doesn't mean that you can just stop reaching out to those people that you worked with, or just other coworkers you worked with in the military. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, caring about them doesn't really stop when you get out. If there's people you really care about that you served with, check up on them. You never know how they're handling that transition. Could be immediately or a couple of years after. Just check in on them. It's kind of crazy in 2020 right now. It's just good to just check in with people, because you just don't really know like what anybody's going through, and if they are going through anything, just try to get them some help.
Facts. So again, episode 4, that pretty much sums it up. Great episode, bro.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being in the building.
Yes, sir.
And having Alvin in my little man cave studio. We're going to try to get more episodes like this going where we can meet face to face. Of course, we're in a pandemic and everything, and plus he live out in DC. I'm over in PA. Not too far, but always good to have Uncle Alvin in the building.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man. I'm going to try to come out here more, see if we can do this more often,
Absolutely. We really appreciate all the support from everybody on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, supporting us and just trying to fill that gap and helping veterans transition out, as well as veterans who are currently out, and getting them the information they need, tools, resources to help them win. And anything else you got to say, bro?
Just if, whether you're in or out, just anybody you served with, just check up on them. Everyone needs to check in on everybody, whether you're checking in on someone who's already a vet or a vet who's checking in on somebody who's still active or reservist. Like, it's just kind of crazy times right now, and you never know what anybody's going through. So it's just never hurts to just check in on them, see how they're doing, see how they're feeling. And if you're getting any vibes that they're showing any symptoms of any of those things, just, let them know that the support's out there. We all need to help each other, and we're all going to be okay. We just gotta stick together and make sure we support each other. So
facts, man. Well, that's it for us here. Again, this is Value in All Veterans. And our goal here is to alleviate any anxiety or fear military members may have about life outside the gate
Yep.
as a veteran. Special shout out to all the current military members out there. Special shout out to all our veterans out there that are making it happen just like we are out here.
Hope y'all had a good Veterans Day.
Good Veterans Day. That was pretty good. Make sure you got some good food.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully everybody had a good time with their families. And special shout out to our deployed troops out there doing the good work.
Yeah.
And just stay safe, stay blessed. Again, Tondero Twins here. I'm Phil.
And I'm Alvin.
And we'll see y'all soon, all right?